Hey everyone, my name is Karen, if you don't know who I am, and this is Karen Roy Yoga. Today's class, I thought we would do just a nice kind of gentle yoga, just something to maybe um, get the body moving, nothing that's going to be huge vinyasas and taking the chaturangas and so on. And we're not going to go too deeply into postures that require that long hatha or ashtanga visit in power moves. This is really just to kind of wake the body up. So it might be good as a, oh, that's my cat. So it might be just good to sort of, let the body just find its way through this practice. So if you'd like to join me, and I hope you will, let's begin our class by laying down on the mat, as we often do. We often arrive into our class, we roll out our mat, and then we just lay it down on the floor. And that's an invitation as far as I'm concerned. So let's just lay yourselves down on the floor. And as you do, just to, sort of start to notice how it is that you've arrived. Whether or not perhaps you feel just a reluctance even to step out of your day-to-day life. Notice if when you land on the mat, perhaps you notice that you're not relaxing, but immediately starting to fidget. So let's just do a body scan of the body from the very top of the head, all the way down to the toes of the feet, out to the fingertips, and just notice what's going on in the body. Without rearranging it, or just, it's as though you're doing just a quick body scan, truly, to notice tension here, comfort here, neutral here. So if you find a place that feels tense or uncomfortable, just mark it as there's an area of discord in the body. I'll have to be watching for it, protecting it, making sure that it's always safe. And then let's begin to notice where it is that you feel your breath most vividly in a physical sense, whether it's in the airway passages of the head, the throat, perhaps getting into the chest. What part of the chest, if in the chest? Or does it move all the way down so that you feel a wonderful expansion, a swelling of the belly, movement of the floating ribs, and as you exhale to the body, just let all that breath go quite naturally? Or do you feel you have to really push the breath out, as though you're trying to hold on to it, trying to keep something just in case? And before you get too wrapped up in how you feel about the breath, let's not land anywhere too long. Let's notice your thoughts, the quality of your thoughts. Our thoughts come and go so quickly. The brain doesn't have time to process words. It sees thoughts as images. So imagine you're just watching images up on a big white screen, like you're watching a slideshow. Except all these images are about the things of your day or your week or your month, your year, or more frightening still, your life. Try not to grab onto anything, but instead just notice it and then let the next slide come up. And let that slide go. Just noticing the quality, the nature of those thoughts, and acknowledging how quickly one thought gives way to the next, gives way to the next, gives way to the next. Now let's return back to that breath. Where do you feel it now in your body? Because our breath is a natural gateway into learning more about ourselves, but it also indicates how you're feeling emotionally. Do you feel the breath high in the chest? Does it feel as though it's becoming trapped before it can move all the way down, as though you could breathe right into your toes? If so, just try and extend the breath a little bit, make it a little bit longer, a little bit deeper, and we'll bring in a little bit of calming movement, something repetitive that we don't really have to think about. With an inhale, let's sweep the arms overhead toward the wall closest to our head. And then let the arms lay there as we exhale, softening the elbows, letting the arms bend and bow out. Keeping the arms there, breathe in again. And exhale. Breathe in again. And exhale. Now we'll put a little more energy into our breathing in and a big stretch. Let's inhale and lengthen the arms out Stretch the legs out, either pointing or flexing the feet, whatever feels good. I like to spread my fingers wide. And as you exhale, bring the right knee in towards you. Lift your head and just gaze past or toward that knee as you hold the front of the shin. Then inhale, stretch the body out, legs again, point or flex the foot. Exhale, come in again for that second go round. Give that little knee a hello. And then inhale, take those legs and arms, stretch them out, touch the walls on the opposite side of the rooms, and exhale, draw both knees in as you do. See if you can lift the head, the shoulders, and as much of the thoracic back as possible. Continue to breathe in and out as you draw the knees tightly toward you, drawing the hip girdle, the sacrum, and the tailbone upward. Notice where the breath is now felt. Drink it in so that you really experience it into the back and the sides of the torso. Breath will be somewhat contained. This is an opportunity to feel it in the back. One more. And as you exhale, just soften your hold. Lower the head and shoulders gently. Let that hip girdle come back just a little bit toward the ground. And then placing the hands back on the shins or the knees. Just tip the body, rocking it right and left, and notice this movement. Letting the shoulders and the hips rise and fall together. And when you're ready, we're just going to roll right into the center of the room. And let one arm just become our temporary cradle for our head. Bending the arm, I can stick my head then into the soft inner side of the arm, the upper arm, and the inside of the forearm. Using the hand from the top shoulder closest to the ceiling, I'll place my hand into the floor and lengthening out my top leg. This just helps to shift ballast weight. I'm going to bring my one elbow underneath me and then help to ease my body all the way up. I usually stop about midpoint, so I want to make sure that I'm not going to feel lightheaded as I come up, hopefully not too quickly, but we always want to watch for that. Bring yourself just to a seated position. You don't have to have your legs crossed. You can have them extended. If you want, you can sit yourself on a block. That's all fine. What you do want to do is to lift your sternum up a little bit. Now, to lift the sternum, that's going to be work in the back, not just the belly. The belly is lifting up using the rectus abdominis. We want to pull the low belly in. That's the transverse abdominis, known as the Uddiyana Bandha. So as we sit here, lift up the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha. Feel as though you're narrowing the space between the pubic bone and the sits bone, but don't tighten your bottom. Then begin to lengthen the spinal column through the lumbar, pushing the body upward. Now, lifting the sternum up, that's going to lengthen the torso through the thoracic spinal column. Drop the jaw down to level, soften the jaw, pull it back a little bit toward your throat. Now take the shoulders back and just rest them down. Now this may feel exhausting at first. It does take training. So if you've been training for a while, you're going, yeah, okay, I'm sitting, right? But we want to get everyone to a place where when they sit, there's an open chest, easy availability of breath, and that there is in them a postural presence of dignity, because that allows us to move well through life. Let's bring our hands to heart center and establish our intention for this class. Let it be positive. Let it speak to both the mind and the body, but don't forget the spirit. The heart space, your emotional wellness. Even if it's as simple as, let me be open to anything that happens. I will open to all. With an inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead, gazing between the palms, as though you collected that intention. Just bring the hands down to heart center, placing that intention in your heart space, so that if you become lost, you can always go back there. And remember to be open to whatever happens. Placing the hands near the top of the mat will bring our bodies into all fours first. Now if you have wrist problems, you can always put your fists into the floor, keeping the shape of the wrist neutral so that there doesn't have to be that hard flex. You do want to avoid going on to fingertips. That's a lot of strain for those knuckles and for the beautiful flexors and extenders in the hands, the fingers themselves. With an inhale, let's just take that tailbone and we'll curl it up. Deep breath in. See if you can fill the entire chest. And then as you exhale, just like curling the tailbone under, pulling that low belly through the rectus abdominis through your back toward the ceiling, and then gently lower the head, gaze between the thighs. Now on the inhale, start by moving that tailbone up. See if you can articulate one vertebra at a time. Now keeping that low belly tight, we're still lengthening those muscles, but we're doing it with a bit of a load here. We're moving the body. body with muscular energy. Exhale, we're just going to tip that tailbone back under. We're moving into a cat posture. You can imagine a cat arching its back. We're certainly about to see that in the fall weather as it comes, as we prepare for Halloween. Inhale, you can tip that tailbone up again, and this will look more like a cow with that sway back. But remember, we keep our udders tight, utterly tight. I'm sorry, that was really cheesy. Tip the tailbone under. Sometimes, you say these things and they come out and you go, oh, that's just a stinker, man. Inhale. Tip that tailbone for the last time. We're going to go into the cow posture. Can you try and lift your heart, push it through the arms toward the wall in front of you, and then just keep the gaze right level with wherever your eyes are looking. Exhale, we'll push our hips back to rest on top of the heels so that now we can feel our body weight sinking in. Let's just soften here for a moment. We can place one potato, two potato, put our forehead on top of that, or we can place the hands down, or if you're comfortable placing your forehead down right into your mat, you can do that. So in this posture, I want you to relax the muscles of the belly and know that you can always widen your knees if you would like to, keeping the toes attached. So we're going to take a nice big breath in, let that belly swell, let the whole torso swell if you can, and then exhale. On the next breath in, lift the pelvic floor into your torso. Remember, that's the tightening up of the area between the pubic bone and the sits bones, the ischium. They tighten up and then let it go. Try it again. Did you notice how your low belly, the transverse abdominis, that's the belly below the navel, it wanted to suddenly add in. So let it. So let's again draw in that Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor, and tighten that low belly back. The Uddiyana Bandha, low belly lock. Now, let it go again. As much as you can for the remainder of our class, try and keep those two bandhas, those two locks on, pelvic floor, low belly. Bring them on. Even when you're exhaling or inhaling, it's on. With an inhale, let's come forward. We'll just walk our hands forward to the top of the mat and see if we can just bear a little bit of our body weight into the shoulder girdle, pressing down with the arms directly 90 degrees under our torso at the shoulder point. Exhale, I'll hinge at the hips and press my hips back again. My hips are not going to go all the way onto my heels here. We'll inhale, come forward again, just again to waken up some of those joints with synovial fluid. That just helps to make it nice and juicy to work with. It's a bit like oiling a creaky door. Inhale, coming forward once again. Now, as we come into this modified plank, please make sure that belly is pulled back. And as you exhale, we're going to begin to hinge at the hips, curl the toes under, and then continue to push your body back toward the wall behind you. But as you do, lengthen out the legs. Keep your knees soft now here, and begin to paddle the knees one at a time to the floor. Now, can you find that Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha again? See if you can draw that in, because the first thing I'll tell people is, listen, if you want to find those two bandhas, hang upside down. You will feel that change. That change of gravity makes it much easier to access those muscles and whether or not they are really invigorated or not. So I'm just dropping the knee down. I'm never, ever going to ask you to lock your knee. Not that I can ever think of, have I ever said that. So we're letting the shoulders move as well, because as far as I'm concerned, and I think a lot of teachers are concerned, we want you to take the down dog as a rest posture, but it's not about lengthening the hamstring, or we're still trying to stretch out the Achilles tendon. See a lot of people pushing their heels down as hard as they can. And what I'd rather see is that you tip your tailbone nice and high, soften the knees, keep the belly tight, and push the belly and the heart toward the legs with the gaze through the ankles or through the legs. I've never been able to see my navel, but that's always another cue that teachers say. Take a nice big inhale here, charge the body with energy. And then as you exhale, we're going to rise up on the balls of both feet, then sink down to power our legs. You always go down before you go up. And then you can just walk to the top of the mat, taking as many steps as you like, but maybe try and keep the hands close to the floor. In that way, you're really kind of forced to have those knees bent, and I want you to see that. Placing the hands onto the thighs, right by the knees. Inhale, we'll lift flat back halfway up. Bend the knees even more deeply and tip that tailbone way high. Spread out the shoulders, broadening the space, pushing the heart through the upper arms. And then as we exhale, we can lengthen the legs a bit, but we want to feel the body starting to make that connection with the thighs. And wherever your hands go, that's terrific, wherever it is for you. Don't try and keep up with somebody else. This is your practice. Lengthen the neck, Let the gaze go between the legs. Maybe you're seeing the floor, maybe you're seeing the other wall, doesn't matter. Inhale, we're going to drop our bottom down nice and low. Shift our bottom weight back into the heels of the feet, so you can see my hips have gone behind. Then with the inhale, I'm going to stand tall, sweeping my arms in front of me, neutral weight, bringing the arms overhead, drawing the shoulders down, and gazing up slightly toward the ceiling. This is known as Tadasana. If I'm reaching it, Utthita Tadasana. As we exhale, let's just bring the hands through heart center and waterfall forward. Start shortening the legs, bending the knees. Keep the body long. In other words, don't curl in on yourself, but lengthen the torso as you come down, placing the hands wherever they're going to land. Soften those knees, please. Inhale, you're going to come halfway up again. This is the Ardha Uttanasana. Remember to broaden out the shoulders, push the heart toward the space in front of you. And as you exhale, you plant your hands down, you step back, and I'll do the first one on the knees, just lowering my body down. If your knees are on the floor, you're sort of committing yourself to putting the heart on the floor for the chaturanga. With an inhale, we'll lift our heart away. This is known as a half cobra. And as I do the half cobra, my feet are pushed into the floor. I'm not using my arms. That would be a full cobra. And I'm really using the muscles of the back of the body. But as I do this, I push my pubic bone into the ground, try and drive that in and pull my low belly back through the spine. So as you exhale, you're going to turn the gaze down, bring the knees back into the floor, and then as you lift the body away, lengthening the arms all the way up, the body comes away without a hinge at the hips until you continue to exhale and then squeeze the toes back under, hinging at the hips. We're going to push the body up through the hips as we drive the body back toward the wall behind us, downward facing dog. Let's take a nice breath or two here and just notice how that work felt on our body. Breathing in and out. Doesn't that feel good? Breathing in and really surrender in that out breath. One more in. Let it all go. Now I'll power up the body again, bringing on those bandhas. With an inhale, let's really feel the power go all the way down to our toes. As we exhale, we're going to rise up. You have to come down to go up. So you're going to sink into the legs and then push the body to the top of the floor. Maybe walking, maybe taking one solid leap forward. Who knows? Take a bus if you have to. Inhale, flat back, half up. Your version of the half up, or the Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale. As your body is becoming more prepared for the work, begin to think, what are the muscle engagements here? Tighten the low belly, lengthen the back, soften the neck and the face muscles. Inhale, drop the bottom down. We're going to stand again. It's important that you bring your bottom weight back because we want to rise all the way up. Draw the shoulders down. As you're doing that, broaden out the shoulders, lift the chest through the sternum. We're going to gaze up now between the hands, known as Urdhva Hastasana. As we exhale, we're going to bring the hands through heart space. Once again, that's my son sneezing. Bless you, Matt. Folding down, lengthen the neck, lengthen the back. Inhale, half full. There we are with that flat back, broad shoulders. Exhale, I'll step my body back, and I'll take this one as a full vinyasa from the toes rather than from the knees. We're still doing full chaturanga runs. Inhale, I'm going to lengthen my arms. I really want to think, lift the heart, not drop the hip. So push away from the ground and lift your heart and gaze up to the ceiling, a little tightening of the buttocks here, and the tops of the feet are pressed hard into the floor. As we exhale from this posture, you're going to lift your torso away, take the hinge out of the hips, roll back through the tops of the feet, and you'll step your body back into downward facing dog, softening your knees again to get as much sway in the back without giving up your muscle and tension in the belly, so that you can really feel that body starting to press toward the thighs. Breathing in and let it go. Again, as you breathe in and out, you're checking in with the body. See how it's responding. Where's the body resisting? Where's the mind resisting? Where's your emotional state and resisting? So there's a lot of things that can get between you and your practice. The hardest of all is getting to the mat. That is the hardest one of all. Let's take a nice big breath in here. As we exhale, we're going to rise up on the balls of both feet and then sink down low to power, step forward to the top of the mat. And then with an inhale, we'll immediately come halfway up. I'll put my hands onto my thighs, lift my heart forward toward the wall in front of me. Then exhale, I'm going to try and lay my belly down, not bring my shoulders down first. As I do, keeping the legs bent, I'm going to lengthen my torso out. And then if my hands are on the ground, I can even use my arms to help push and pull me through the legs. Never actually going to happen. Inhale. I'm going to now sink down here, rise all the way up. See how I shifted my weight, and now I'm lifting directly up. Let's take a little bit more of a backward extension here. Lift the sternum. Don't just fall into your back. That would jeopardize your lumbar back. Instead, lift all the way up. Lift the sternum up, drawing the shoulders down. You're going to feel this into your thoracic back, your rib cage, gazing up. As you exhale, maybe some of you want to extend the body, reaching the arms, aligning them with the ears so that you come into your forward fold, Uttanasana. Gazing down, soften your legs. Remember, inhale, flat back, half up. And exhale, we're going to step the body back and take a final chaturanga because this is a gentle class. This is not going into a whole bunch of vinyasas. Inhale, upward facing or one of the cobras, big lift of the heart, don't just drop down. As we exhale, we're all going to lift the hips away, then lower the knees down, press back into child's pose. And as we come back into child's pose, it's just another opportunity to check in, see how you're doing. So as you check in, I'm just going to fix my hair because it's flopping around a little bit here. You say, Karen, isn't it meant to flop around? Well, there's no bad hair day when you've got a mohawk. Let me just put it that way. There we go. So as you come into this place, you can rock the body back and forth, just shifting weight, just noticing how you're feeling. You know, check in with your strength, check in with your mind space. If thoughts come, acknowledge them, but just invite yourself back onto the mat. Let them wait for a little bit. They can wait till the end of your practice. We're going to take a nice little inhale here. Again, bring those bandhas back in. So lift the pelvic floor, draw back the low belly. Continue to rock back and forth, just feeling the muscle engagement from within the body. On the next inhale, you're going to sweep the arms forward and just raise the forehead off the ground if you had it on the ground. Then on the inhale that follows that, we'll just take our bodies slightly into an all four. We're going to push our bottoms back as we curl our toes under. And then let's just walk our body forward to the top of the mat. As I come to the top of the mat, I inhale, lift flat back halfway up, and exhale, fold into that beautiful thigh. With an inhale, dropping my bottom weight down, I'm going to sweep my arms up, saying, hello, chair. It's invisible. Now maybe yours looks like a bar stool. Maybe it looks like you're milking a cow. Wherever it is, that's where it is. Pull your shoulders back and down and lift your heart. As you exhale, I love to lay my heart right down on the thighs, press my heels of hands into floor as far back as I can, and then lengthen my legs, but never ever lock the knees. Soften the neck and look through. Inhale, flat back, half up, and exhale. Because I don't want to take you through a whole bunch of chaturangas, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step back with my left foot, pivot and anchor that left foot down. Now, if you sink into it and you find yourself going way forward in the knee, then I want you to be careful of that and maybe just bring that foot a little further back. Notice how it's just pivoting there. Angle that trailing foot. You want to sink into the forward leg as deeply as you can. Then as you inhale, rather than rising up through the leg and then dropping down, you want to rise up, not throwing the hands, but extending them, lifting the heart, pulling the belly tight, sinking down into the forward leg, and the back leg scissored together if we're trying to, and then lift the heart and gazes up. Warrior one. As you exhale, place your hands either to the instep side or on either side of the foot. Come to the trail of the ball and foot, step to the top of the mat. That felt like work, right? Inhale, half lift up. Exhale, again, we're doing that big fold, Uttanasana. On the inhale that follows, drop your bottom down, sweep the hands up, take the chair, Utkatasana, pull the low belly back, maybe even lift your toes as you tuck that low belly back and try to tuck the tailbone. As you exhale, again, lower the chest to the thighs, plant the hands as low as you can. If you lengthen and it only gets to here, but it feels good, and that's what you do. You take it where you can, don't lock the knees. Inhale, half up. Exhale, we're going to step back with that right foot. So sink deeply into the left leg. Step as far back as you can. Wherever that is, it's right. Pivot and anchor that right heel down. Sink into the forward leg and inhale. Sweep the arms up. Take it to the place. I always like to say to my students, take it to where you're shivering. Where you kind of go, ah, landed it. Exhale. Again, hands to the front of the mat, wherever it feels stable. Ball of foot, push off, top of the mat. Inhale, we're going to come half up. I'm going to do this one fully modified, bringing the hands onto the thighs. Exhale, I'll fold deeply. Maybe my hands slide down to my shins or the back of my lower leg. Then with an inhale, I'll drop my bottom weight down, maybe not going as low. Rather than sweeping my arms up, maybe my shoulders have an issue today, I'll bring my hands through the heart center. Then with an exhale, I'll place my hands down, step my left foot back. Maybe it doesn't go back as far as what I want it to. Keep that forward leg bent. Inhale. As I rise, I'm not going to lengthen that forward leg. I can take my hands up, maybe to a cactus instead. Try to align my shoulders with the short edge. And as I exhale, I'm going to bring my body back to the top of the mat, pushing forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold as deeply as you can. Keep the knees soft. Inhale, come to chair again. Arms wherever they're going to be, wherever you need them to be to help you in your practice. Exhale, fold, lengthen the legs without locking, soften the neck and the muscles of the face. Inhale, half up. Exhale, take your stride back with the right foot as deeply as you want. And here's another variation. I'm going to drop my knee down, taking my knee down. Inhale, so rather than going into warrior, I've gone into a low crescent lunge. But the same things apply. Lift through the sternum, draw the shoulders back and down, lift the low belly and the mula bandha, that's your pelvic floor, lift them all the way up into the rib cage. Exhale, bringing the hands down. I'm going to step my leg back, press the body into the floor, finding child's pose. And just notice how that landed on the body. Again, letting the body shift from side to side. One of my teachers said that, listen, if you can't do anything, on that day, you just don't have time to get a huge practice in. Get 3 sun A's, 3 sun B's, sit some meditation, and call it your day. But it's so important to check in with your practice daily if you can. And meditation is also practice. It's maybe the most challenging form of yoga. It's considered the most challenging or the highest form of yoga. So that's all the mind. Let's extend our hands further toward the front of the mat once again. And with an inhale, we'll come into that all fours posture. I'm going to widen my knees so that they fall directly underneath my hip girdle. That's in case I came up and maybe had my knees close together from child's pose. I want them to align so that I'm able to sit my shoulders directly on top of the wrists. Remember, you can always go into fists if that's really problematic for you, right? So listen to what your body's saying. I'm going to inhale and extend my right arm out toward the right wall. I want to keep my shoulders level and just feel the shift in the body weight. Then I'm going to lower my right arm. I shouldn't have to change a whole lot of anything. If I've leveled my shoulders properly, like my hips, that they're parallel, then I should be able to just change the positioning of my wrist and bring the hand or the fist back into the floor, yes? That there shouldn't have to be a change of anything, right? No catching on the mat, in other words. Let's try that with the other side. Extend that left arm out toward the left wall. Your gaze is still down. Then bring the heel of the hand or the fist back down, and you should be able to just skim right above the surface of the mat. As you extend the hand out toward the wall, make certain that the palm is facing downward. Now, memorize what it feels like to do that. Because what we want to do is to keep our jaw, the center of our jaw, our chin, really connected to a singular alignment. It will stay held directly over what's known as the clavicular hollow, that wonderful place where the collarbone dips down. So, keep the neck still. We're going to inhale and sweep that right arm toward the wall, palm facing down. We want to rotate now above and around the hip crest. But as I turn my shoulders, I can then see, you know what, I'm not looking to the ceiling here. I'm looking toward the edge of the mat because I haven't taken the rotation up through the neck. I'm being very protective of the neck. Then as I exhale, I can bring that hand, that shoulder back down, and it should make that connection coming back to absolute level without too much, shuffling about. Let's take the other arm, inhale. Again, we're tracking that shoulder movement. That's the thing that starts to turn the head. Exhale, bringing that back down. Now, what turns the shoulder? Well, that's the thoracic spinal column. What turns that? Inhale, right side. Well, that's the lumbar, right? So it all starts from, usually in this case, we're going to say it starts from the lowest part of the spinal column that has that movement. The bone that exists as vertebra in your hip girdle, that's the sacrum, and it does not really move because it's fused. See if you can find more movement. And now let's let the eyes travel up toward the ceiling. So I'm going to extend on the inhale, bringing my right hand up. I'm going to turn my head and try to see the ceiling past my fingers. I don't want to reach back toward my bum, so I have to be able to see the hand. Then exhale, I just change the posturing of the hand so I can slide it right back in. Inhale, I'm going to extend, then I'm going to slowly turn the head up, see if I can find it. Then exhale, I'm going to bring that body back down. And the head is not the thing that's turning until the last minute, because we're going to work up from the bottom of the spinal column. That starts above the hip crest. Then we bring the neck into full rotation, which means as far as you can. Exhale. As far as you can may not be as far as you want it to be, or maybe not where it ever will be. Inhale. That's one of the things about yoga. You have to accept what is. This is a great leveling field, isn't it? Everybody's equal here. And it will knock the stuffing out of the most arrogant students who feel entitled, I suppose. That they think, I should be able to do it all easily. Well, that's when life comes up and bites you in the bottom, doesn't it? So we're going to bring those hands back down. One more time on the left side, please. I'm going to inhale, level the shoulder, then begin to let that rotation move up, up, up. Then exhale, return to that neutral posture of the shouldering, and then bring the hand back down. Then just let the body press back a little bit. Come into perhaps a rabbit posture. A rabbit posture looks very much like a child's pose, except you can nest your arms around the sides of your legs, usually bending the elbows quite a lot. Now, I've also seen rabbit done with the bottom quite high. You just want to make sure that there's no pressure on your neck. And if you're feeling pressure into the knees, you might not want to do that. You might instead want to go into happy puppy, which is putting your forearms down onto the ground, tipping your tailbone, softening the muscles, and keeping the knees more at about a 90-degree angle with a lovely deeper angle at the hip, and letting the body go into a flexion, like a cow back, right? Getting that sway or in down dog. Because this posture, like child's pose, like downward facing dog, they're all rest postures. Just take that breath, and again, let your body reveal to you. That got some kind of sexy in my voice there, didn't it? Let your body reveal to you how it feels in all this work. Take one more big breath in, and let's use a cleansing breath to press the breath out. Shift the body weight from side to side, and then roll onto one hip or the other. It doesn't matter which hip. We're just going to bring ourselves into something that will let us finish out our work today. And that's Shavasana with a twist or two before we actually get there. Now, this is when I would say, hey, if you've got something in your hair, take it out. Be done with that. Let your locks flow free. Extend the arms in just a nice T with the hands facing up. Let's let the hips again tip to the right and left. And as we do that, we can then, again, keep the shoulders attached, engaged with the floor, and let the movement happen essentially below the shoulder blades. Now, how much below the shoulder blades? Is it just a gentle rock that your body's asking for? Or a nice little swirl to side to side? What I don't want you to try here is to push the knees to the floor. Don't do that. Don't do that. No reason to. This is all very loving. Yoga is, at its core, an act of kindness. And as we know, if you're a parent, sometimes that kindness means being a bit disciplined, and saying, no, this has to get done. This is good for you. So sometimes when we don't want to come to the mat, you have to be the parent, not just the child. You have to be the teacher, not just the student. So that's the tough relationship, right? So now we're going to bring our body to stillness. And then take a nice inhale here. Lengthen the back. See if you can push all the back into the floor. Notice my feet are flat still. As I exhale, I'm going to draw my knees in. Again, I'm going to lift my head and shoulders and just try and find as much pressure into the lumbar back as possible. As I inhale, I'm going to just lower my head and shoulders. Take my left hand, push the knees slightly away to a more 90-degree angle at the hip, 90 degrees, reverse tabletop at the knee. And I'm going to draw the knees over, guiding with my left hand. I'll place my knees. For me, it's going to be into the center of the room. And what I want to think about is that my shoulder on the arm that is furthest away from the knees, I want to have that maintain the connection into the floor. Now, there are ways to set this up for different people. Just by placing the hand onto the knee, that's usually enough to keep the body. Don't push down. Just let the body soften. You don't have to keep the legs completely, like you're afraid to go to the bathroom and you're standing up in the cold waiting for a bus. You can just place the hand there. Don't pull. If the knee unbends, let it. It's your body saying this is what we want to do. You could also take the top leg and twirl it underneath the lower leg. Then bind yourself into this posture so that the lower leg across the calf muscle and the lower leg complete, as well as the foot and outstep side of that, for me, it's my right leg, are held in a bind. No need for hand, no need for anything. Now, is it important that my knees touch the ground? No. They may or they may not, right? Mine's not touching the ground. I'm perfectly content with that. Your body will give you what it can give. Your body never gets up and says, you know what, today I'm going to really mess them over. It gets up every single day and says, okay, what are we doing now? All right then. As you take it up and down the stairs or out grocery shopping or go for a walk with the dog or kids or whatever, right? Your body is always suited up and ready to go, even when it's got its naked pants on, when it's all nudie. It's saying, okay, put some clothes on. Can't go out like this. And it's ready to go. Notice the collective weight through the hip girdle. The one hip weight stacked on the other. The weight of the legs either resting or bound together. The weight across the shoulder girdle. Beautiful lengthening across the chest and underarm. And if that's too much, you just draw that elbow closer of the extended arm. Draw that elbow closer to your body and just bring the hand in and just rest it on the ribs, on the uppermost side of the torso closest to the ceiling. I'll take a breath or two more. It's not a huge practice today. It's just a kindness practice, kind of a metta practice, if you will. It's sending all the love inward. And once you've exhaled that last time, you're going to unbind on the inhale. And we'll just sweep the legs along the floor back into the center of the mat. If you want, you can then tip the knees right and left again. Just kind of get a very gentle realignment. Again, look for as much connection through that lumbar back as possible. Doesn't that feel yummy? Come to stillness, then draw the knees in. Lift the head and shoulders. We're just playing with the back, moving from rotation to a deep flexion. We're curling the back. We're curling the spinal column, bringing the chest in toward the belly. That's a flexion. Then with the inhale, we'll soften. We now feel full back engagement through the entire body. That means the lumbar is also pressing down. Take the opposite hand that you used before and direct the knees to the opposite side now. So for me, I'm using my right hand and guiding my legs to the right hand side, placing the right hand onto the left. Now from this angle, since I'm rolled away, you may notice that my shoulders, and if you sort of went, well, where's the spinal column? Well, think about where your clavicular hollow is, that little center point. So right between your shoulder blades, kind of, will be the point where your body starts to shift here. Because we're not just in a rotation. Notice where my hips are. My hips are at the long edge where the center line of the mat only holds the uppermost part of my spinal column through the torso. The neck, which is the cervical spine, it sits still in the center of the mat. So with that extended arm, I've placed the spinal column itself into an extension, pulling away from the belly, opening the chest away from the belly, and rotation. So again, you can have your hand just resting there, or you can take the bind and wrap your leg around the other, and then forget about even, trying to do anything with that leg. Let it just be where it is. And remember, if you're using the hand, you're not pushing down. You're letting the leg just be held with gravity, body weight, and position. It's my favorite kind of yin, right? It's the do nothing yin. Because I always tell students, I'm the laziest yogi that ever was, right? Ever. Ever. Most of my power work comes in my yoga, whether it's hatha, vinyasa, ashtanga, or in the gentle work. As if I'm doing a sun A, I'm going to do a sun A, a sun B, I'm going to do the sun B, right? But when I come to yin, I want to get that fascial release. And that only happens when you are passive. And by putting a bind now or there on the legs or just gently holding, the body is asked to relax and release that tension. And in that long passive stretch, held for at least 90 seconds, we release that fascial, that myofascial tissue. Myo just means muscle. Fascial, or fascia in this case, this is this sticky, web-like stuff. I don't know, substance. Actually, it looks a little bit more like cotton candy, not the color. And it wraps itself all around just about everything in your body. And you've seen it on chicken breasts. You know, you suddenly see this sort of silvery white lining, whether it's cooked or not, you'll see that thing and you go, wow. So then you cook it and it's still there. The bones will break in the chicken, but you have to actually really work hard to break that myofascial tissue. In that case, cooked fascial tissue. So try and just let the body soften. Again, if there's tension across that underarm area, reaching out toward the wrist as you have your palms up, you just draw that elbow closer to your torso. That'll lessen the tension. Then by rolling the hand in, you're actually changing the rotation of the shoulder, and that will actually change that whole opening to now it's no longer opening out and back. This is now rotating the shoulder somewhat, a little bit more forward, if you say, but all of the rotation has come and changed, altered from the point of the spinal column moving out through the shoulder joint, not just a wrist. Take a few more breaths here. Just let the body sink. I'm going to extend my arm. You can have your eyes closed if you want, or half open. I usually pretty much get bored by my ceiling, so I just close my eyes. It's another time just to study. Where do you feel your breath? Can you try to breathe down into the hip girdle, both sides of the hips, but especially into the one that's the superior, the lifted side? And then as you soften with the exhale, let all those muscles just soften and try to contain that space without tightening up again. One more breath, in and out. Then we're going to bring those legs back. So I'm binding my legs, and I'm just going to sweep my legs back, keeping them low. So there's almost no energy spent there. I let the hips follow the leg weight, and then we're going to tip the back again. And as I do this, I want to just play with the hip girdle. Take sort of small sweeping motions with the knees, never pushing the knees to the ground. Then broaden it out a little bit, keep the rib cage attached, keep the movement below the thoracic torso. And then maybe allow the sides of the rib cage to open, rising up from the ground, just switching the body around. And then when you're ready, you can come to stillness. And when you come to stillness, if you want to keep your feet flat on the floor, you can. I would probably toe heel my feet a little bit, so toe heel. That just means ball planting and shifting. So if I'm toe heel, I'm going to go into the foot, ball of foot, lift the heel, pivot it down, and then from the heel of the foot, pivot around, put the toe down. So that's heel toe, or toe heel, depending on which way you're going. Or you can extend legs all the way up, which is my favorite. But if you find that you do that and you feel tension into that lumbar back, just bring those legs back in, putting the feet on the floor. And so now as you just rest in your final Shavasana, just consider how the body feels right now. Having done a couple of rotations, move the spinal column all the way technically from the base of the spinal column, the tailbone, all the way up to the base of the neck. Where do you feel your breath now? Don't try and change it, just see where it is. Remember, it indicates our emotional wellness state. Notice the quality of your thoughts. I'm not trying to collect one single thought, but just let them come and go. Almost disregarding them as they come, and certainly forgetting them as they go. Soften the jaw, the muscles around the mouth. The lower jaw fall away slightly from the upper jaw. And if you notice tension in and around the face, just take the corners of the mouth and just curl them up ever so slightly. A little Mona Lisa smile. Give us a little Mona Lisa smile. Your arms can be beside the body. And then once you feel that tension leaving the face, the mouth can relax again. A smile has a lot to really discharge negative energy. Send a little love and kindness to yourself. Thank you, body. Thank your heart as well. Thank you, heart. Thank you, breath. And thank your beautiful mind for doing its very best to be loving and kind and compassionate. Thank you, beautiful mind. And then gently walk the feet toward you. Allow the knees to tip again right and left, and then you're just going to follow them into the center of the room. Let's send some love and kindness out to all beings now. May everyone feel that they are loved. Most importantly, may they love themselves truly, so that they can truly and completely love others without condition. They'll have to handle it themselves first to understand what that means. Think about how we look at our children. That's without condition. Placing a hand into the floor, ease the body to a seated position. Again, stopping sort of midpoint. Let the body, let the brain, let the fluid in the ear catch up, and then bring yourself to a seated position. And once there, whether the legs are folded in front or not, let's just bring the hands to heart center, lengthening the spinal column, letting that head sit on top of a beautiful golden rope that is fluid but not rigid. Thank you so much for coming today. Your presence is so appreciated. Not by me, I absolutely love that you're here, but by your own body, it's appreciated. For me, I just love to share yoga because I think it's the best thing ever. So, maybe not as good as chocolate ice cream, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So, let us seal our practice. All that is light and good with me humbly, and humbly bows, and wishes you namaste. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy what you can make of it, and let go what doesn't serve. Till the next time I see you. Bye, guys.